So in the last few chapters, we've been seeing this theme of sexual temptation, where the father warns his son not to lust in his heart for her beauty or let her captivate him with her alluring eyes. But people don't just fall into sexual sin or decide one day to wreck their marriages. It's a slow process that begins with desire, at the earliest stages where it's easiest to rationalize and make excuses for. It's also where patterns are formed and conditioning takes place. Today we have a multi-billion-dollar industry that feeds into the lust of the heart. It pretends to be completely harmless while continuing to trap men and women in cycles of pain, addiction, and shame. So the father tells this story that he's witnessed firsthand, and I think it's helpful in addressing the topic of porn and other sexual sins. So let's read the whole story, verses 6 through 20, and then I'll offer some observations. He says, "For at the window of my house, through my window lattice, I looked out, and I saw among the naive, I discerned among the youths, a young man who lacked wisdom. He was passing by the street near her corner, making his way along the road to her house in the twilight, the evening, in the dark of the night. Suddenly a woman came out to meet him. She was dressed like a prostitute and with secret intent. She is loud and rebellious. She does not remain at home, at one time outside, at another in the wide plazas, and by every corner she lies in wait. So she grabbed him and kissed him, and with a bold expression she said to him, 'I have fresh meat at home. Today I have fulfilled my vows. That is why I came out to meet you, to look for you, and I found you. I have spread my bed with elegant coverings, with richly colored fabric from Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of lovemaking until morning. Let's delight ourselves with sexual intercourse. My husband is not at home. He has gone on a journey of some distance. He has taken a bag of money with him. He will not return until the end of the month.'" Did you catch where that scene takes place? It's right outside the father's window. Not only is she confronting us, but she's calling out to us. She's prowling around and initiating these interactions. And this father's a good father, so he warns his kids about the dangers and risks of sexual temptation before it hunts them down. He's aware of where the danger is, how it presents itself, and he's proactive in warning his son to avoid it. Now the woman is dressed like a prostitute, so probably veiled to hide her identity, and she has a secret intent or a hidden agenda. So just like pornography, she's dishing out a version of reality that's not true at all. On a surface level, she's very personal, trying to make the youth feel special, when in reality there's no depth of relationship there. And I think that's key here. What's often overlooked when addressing porn addiction are the emotional triggers that feed into it. Lust isn't always the root, there's often something driving the lust. Many men and women use porn to self-medicate the pain of feeling incompetent or overwhelmed in other areas of life. And we'll see how this woman is addressing psychological needs here too. She says, "I have fresh meat at home. Today I have fulfilled my vows." So she pretends to share some of his religious convictions. He feels understood. They have something in common. And then she personalizes the experience just for him. "That is why I came out to meet you, to look for you, and I found you." Bible Study 101, repetition is important. The focus here is you, you, you. So right off the bat, he's approved, he's wanted. He didn't have to put any effort into this, and the lady is drooling over him. Lustful thought patterns distort God's vision of sex as a loving, committed partnership into an indulgent, selfish experience about you. And porn is an easy, lazy way to satisfy your inner needs without the work and depth of commitment and love. When you use porn, you're training your brain to say, sex is about my gratification. These people on the other side of the screen, I don't know or care who they are. They're just means to an end. It's so dehumanizing. And then you bring that mindset into real life relationships where it doesn't translate because people don't exist for your impersonal physical pleasure. So you begin to lose your ability to engage intimately and authentically with one real person. Now look at what she does next. She stimulates his imagination with the sights and smells and luxuries of this experience. The bed coverings, the fabric, the perfume, all these fantasies help to put him under the power of his desires. She knows that if she can capture his thought life, she's already got the rest of him. "For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a journey of some distance. He has taken a bag of money with him. He will not return until the end of the month." See, this scene definitely involves lust, but I think there's something deeper going on here. Notice how the absence of the husband involves the absence of a bag of money. Now maybe this is an incidental detail, or maybe part of the appeal here is that now this man can prove himself capable of caring for this vulnerable woman. Now he's in a position to be strong and be a hero. Be careful of lust when it disguises itself as compassion. Suddenly he went after her like an ox that goes to the slaughter, like a stag prancing into a trapper's snare, and he does not know that it will cost him his life. Now, if you're a Jesus follower, then you're called to be pure, and you're called to honor people with the dignity that you would give a family member. Indulging in lustful fantasies is more than harmless thoughts. It's a degrading of human beings that carries over into real-life relationships. Now, if you are trying to follow Jesus and are addicted to porn, I assume you feel some level of shame. That's not necessarily a bad thing because godly sorrow is meant to lead us to repentance. But please don't stop at shame. Trust God to heal you and change your mindset. Now look at what the Father says next. It's so sad. "So now, sons, listen to me and pay attention to the words I speak. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not wander into her pathways, for she has brought down many fatally wounded, and all those she has slain are many. Her house is the way to the grave, going down to the chambers of death." Do you see the problem here? It's not that someone just broke a rule. God's not a prude. There's something about lustful thought patterns that affects the deepest part of a person where values and desires are cultivated. And it's the heart that steers a person down a road, so it's a process with a destination. In this case, the destination is death, and that's really what it is when God's people pursue images instead of investing in life-giving relationships. But God gives us a better alternative. Imagine a generation of Christians who believe that their embodiment as sexual beings is a gift from God. And so every man and woman bears the sacred image of God and is worthy of dignity and respect. So much so that we fight the animal instinct that wants to consume and conquer bodies along the way. And so we train our minds to see sex as an act of giving and loving and sharing with another committed human being. And yes, God really does enable us to keep this higher standard of sexuality. And if you've messed up, He really does heal and restore. If this is a pattern for you, I encourage you to identify the root of your addiction. Is it an escape from feeling inadequate or incapable, misunderstood or alone? Are you afraid to put effort and depth into real relationships? I want to encourage you to take these questions seriously before God. And it's not something you can do alone. Get some godly accountability and counsel in your life. And understand that He cares for you and wants to meet those needs. He wants to offer you life instead of death. And the good news of the gospel is that if you believe in the person and work of Jesus, you can believe these words that He said about His Father. In Luke 15, He shows how God responds when sinners come back home. "Hurry, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let us eat and celebrate, because this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate.
Share and subscribe.